So I've been really busy and I wasn't planning on saying anything about the recent John 5 interview. I didn't even really know that story. I had just sort of vaguely heard that, this story or this rumor that Marilyn Manson had been abusive to one of his former guitarists, John 5. And I know that there was some reference made to it and like a clip, shown in Phoenix Rising. Although to be honest with you, I couldn't even remember like when I had seen it, right? But anyway, so this week, John 5 comes out and he does an interview. And one of the things that he talks about is this incident with Marilyn Manson from the past, from years ago. And like I said, a number of people who are down on Marilyn Manson and talk shit about Marilyn Manson and think that Marilyn Manson is abusive, including Evan Rachel Wood, point to John 5 and Marilyn Manson's treatment of John 5 and this incident on stage as being indicative of Marilyn Manson's bad temper and his abusiveness to those around him and that sort of thing. So when I saw, and like I said, I didn't even remember seeing this clip of this incident. So when I saw in the news this week that John 5 had done an interview in which he said basically, and you can look up the interview yourself, he said basically, yeah, this was no big deal. It wasn't even anything that Manson did wrong. Manson wasn't being abusive. It was a normal part of our act during the show. It was something that Manson normally did. And John 5 said what happened was, I was freaking out personally because my sister had died, and I just had like a moment there where I like freaked out and I dropped my guitar, and then Manson was like basically, encouraging him, whispering to him, hey, pick it up. Well, I guess not whispering because they were on stage, but yelling at him, pick up the guitar, let's get going. And apparently people had misinterpreted, this as Manson being abusive, right? As yet another example of Marilyn Manson's abusive behavior. Look, he even hit his guitarist on stage, and the guitarist was so fed up with Manson's abusive behavior that he slammed his guitar down and he refused, for a moment, he refused to play. And then Manson was basically goaded him into picking his guitar back up. Well, it turns out that's not what happened. And John 5 talked about that in this interview. He said that Manson was just doing his normal stage act. It was expected. It was what he always does. John 5 had no problem with it. That John 5 just had a moment, a freak out, because his mother died. And he said too that what was so unfortunate about the way that this non-event was mischaracterized in the media later on. What was so unfortunate about that is that John 5 said that Manson had actually been really, really nice, really, really sweet to him after his sister died. And so John 5 doesn't have anything bad to say about Manson, anything significant to say about him. It's negative, as it turns out. And certainly not that Manson attacked him on stage, as some Manson haters and accusers are intentionally misconstruing it. So look, here's the reason why I decided I was not going to say anything about this, because I felt like, it's not a huge story, but it's interesting. But I felt like the interview that John 5 did basically spoke for itself. But then someone sent me the video. I'd never seen the video clip of this incident on stage, or if I had, like I said, someone told me that it was referenced in Phoenix Rising. I don't even remember that. But if I had, I couldn't remember it. And so someone sent me this clip this week when this interview John 5 came out, and so I watched it. I'm sorry, it was a complete non-event. Marilyn Manson barely even shoves him. That is not an attack. I don't even care if John 5 wasn't expecting it, or it was not something that normally happened or they'd agreed upon. It is a rock concert. Things are expected to get raucous, and people on stage, especially at a Marilyn Manson concert, people who are performing with Marilyn Manson, right? They know things get crazy, just like if you're performing with Ramstein. I never know what the fuck to call it. But anyway, obviously not a super fan, but I'm going with Paula to a show in San Antonio. We're going to go see them, even though I cannot pronounce the name. yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, and so I looked at this video finally with John 5, with Marilyn Manson supposedly attacking John 5, you know, further evidence of his abusive nature, just out of control. He's a threat. He's a threat to those around him. He's a threat to his colleagues. And I see this is nothing. In fact, it's a little disappointing. Is that the best? Is that the best y'all can do? Come on, I was expecting like a real like hit or like something. That was nothing. That was like horsing around. I can go down to the fraternity house and I can find you much worse. Well, you probably assume that, but anyway. So, you know, I had to make a video, even a short one, because to me this was so dumbfounding that this non-event, like I couldn't even really, like I didn't even notice, like when I watched the video, sorry I'm stammering, but I'm just dumbfounded. When I watched the video that somebody sent me of this incident, like I almost didn't catch it. Like I was like, oh wait, did he just, was that it? Like, it's so obvious that was a non-event. I mean, you know, you see Manson, he does like this like half-hearted kick. Like, I wouldn't even call that a real kick. It's like this sort of half-hearted, he sort of like hikes his leg and kind of touches John 5 and then gives him a little bit of a shove. It was so obviously nothing. It was so obviously not what you would do if you were really trying to be aggressive with someone. And yeah, and then John 5, you know, he throws the guitar down and he has this sort of moment where he kind of charges at Manson, and John 5 says that was his own freak out. He had been up for days, he hadn't been sleeping after his sister had died. He was going through something, and I'm sure that like emotions on stage and everything, things get charged sometimes. But Manson, and the thing is too that's interesting to me about that video is you can see that as soon as Manson gets a counter reaction from John 5, like it's like after Manson does that, like basically that little nothing kick and shove for show, and then he sees John 5 overreact or misreact like that, then he immediately, you can see that Manson's whole like demeanor and everything becomes like sort of like whoa and very calm, and he's like, pick up your guitar, right? He's like kind. And that's what John 5 says, right? Is he's like kindly like trying to get him back into it. So that is just a whole nothing burger, that incident, and it's laughable and sad that people would try to make anything out of that to begin with. Okay, but now John 5 has come out, he's clarified it, and I thank him for doing that, especially in this particular climate where it's not considered politically correct to defend Marilyn Manson. So, and I just want to say, you know, this is just another indication of the fact that this rap on Manson is bullshit. It is. It's bullshit. And if those of you who have been frantically over the past 2 years looking for things to validate your bogus assertion that Manson is abusive, if this is the sort of thing is the best that you can come up with, y'all are like ridiculous. Okay, so anyway, that's on that note. I'm just going to leave it there. Marilyn Manson is innocent of the things alleged about him, and every day it becomes clearer to me that it's just a bunch of BS, of a lot of like gossip and slander and nothing that's blown into something. All right. But fortunately, Manson has a defamation lawsuit that he's filed that it's going to go through the court system, and we're going to see the same thing happening to Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore and the other accusers to a degree that we are seeing happen to Amber Heard right now. So justice is a long time coming sometimes, but it is coming. And I hope that Evan Rachel Wood and I hope that Ilma Gore and I hope the other accusers are going to pay attention to what happens with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial over the next 6 weeks. Today was a lot of humiliation for Amber. Johnny Depp, he hit a good friend of his, was a star witness today, and really just leveled Amber and leveled her lawyer. And I expect to see more moments like that in the trial. And I expect Amber Heard is going to come out looking pretty bad. Was glad to see a really strong performance today in court from Johnny Depp's side, from Isaac Baruch. because yesterday, as I said in my earlier video, yesterday I was not impressed with what Johnny Depp's team offered. But today, momentum totally shifted. I'm feeling good about things. So anyway, all right, everybody. As usual, support my work, subscribe, ring the bell, tip me, Patreon, PayPal below, and all that jazz. And I'm going to be working on it tonight, editing it. I did that big Marilyn Manson interview. No, not an interview with Marilyn Manson, but an interview about Marilyn Manson. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. It's going to be up there with the interview that I did with Paula and the interview that I did with Paula, right? Manson's ex-lover and Manson's former assistant. Is that in the right order? I don't want to mess that up. But anyway, yeah, so it's going to be big. It's coming out Friday. I'm editing it now. It's going to come out Friday. And yeah, it's going to be big. All right. Bye, everybody.